Welcome to Freema Audiobooks, where ideas become direction, knowledge becomes power, and vision turns into opportunity. And today you are about to begin an audiobook designed to shift the way you think about money, business, and success in one of the most opportunity-rich environments in the world. This audiobook is titled From Vision to Millions, Investment and Business, Opportunities in Dubai, and it was created for thinkers, builders, professionals, and entrepreneurs who understand that wealth does not begin with money, but with vision, clarity, and the courage to act with intention. Dubai is not simply a city of impressive skylines and luxury lifestyles, but a living example of what happens when vision is combined with execution, strategic investment, and opportunity thinking. And throughout this audiobook you will explore how ideas grow into businesses, how capital is transformed into scalable systems, and how ordinary individuals turn long-term vision into extraordinary outcomes by understanding markets, managing risk, and positioning themselves where growth naturally occurs. Vision is the true starting point of wealth creation. Because, without a clear picture of where you are heading, effort becomes scattered, opportunities are missed, and progress feels random rather than intentional. Successful individuals understand that vision is not wishful thinking but a disciplined mental framework that defines direction, priorities, and standards. They take time to clarify what success means to them beyond money alone. They align their goals with personal values and long-term purpose. They understand that vision influences daily decisions, not just distant dreams. They use vision to filter opportunities rather than chasing everything available. They refine their vision as experience and knowledge grow. They remain focused when distractions arise. They accept that clarity often evolves through action. They understand that money follows direction, not desire. They commit to outcomes even when progress is slow. They see vision as the anchor that keeps them consistent. In environments like Dubai, vision is especially powerful because the pace of opportunity is fast and the choices are many, and without clarity it becomes easy to move without direction. Individuals with vision are not overwhelmed by options because they know what aligns with their goals. They resist the pressure to copy others' paths. They evaluate opportunities based on fit rather than appearance. They understand that not every profitable idea supports their long-term vision. They remain patient when others rush. They see competition as information, not intimidation. They understand that clarity reduces stress and increases confidence. They avoid distractions disguised as opportunity. They focus on building rather than reacting. They understand that saying no is often as powerful as saying yes. They protect their energy and resources intentionally. They allow vision to guide focus in crowded environments. Vision also shapes how risk is perceived and managed, because when the destination is clear, decisions about risk become strategic rather than emotional. Individuals with vision understand that risk is unavoidable, but unmanaged risk is unnecessary. They take calculated risks aligned with long-term outcomes. They avoid impulsive decisions driven by fear or excitement. They understand that short-term losses do not define long-term success. They remain committed during uncertainty, evaluate risk through the lens of purpose rather than pressure. They accept discomfort as part of growth. They understand that vision provides stability when outcomes are uncertain. They see failure as feedback, not defeat. They remain adaptable without abandoning direction. They plan for multiple scenarios. They trust the process rather than panic at setbacks. Wealth-building vision also influences how time is valued, because individuals with clear vision understand that time is the most valuable asset they possess. They allocate time intentionally toward activities that support long-term goals. They avoid spending excessive time on distractions that do not move them forward. They invest time in learning and skill development. They understand that consistent effort compounds over time. They protect their focus from constant interruption. They plan schedules around priorities rather than urgency. They avoid confusing busyness with progress. They understand that small daily actions aligned with vision create powerful momentum. They remain patient during periods of slow visible growth. They understand that time invested wisely produces exponential results. They treat time as a strategic resource. They align daily habits with long-term vision. Vision also defines how money is viewed and used, because individuals with vision do not see money as a goal, but as a tool for achieving meaningful outcomes. They direct money toward assets, education, and systems that support growth. They avoid spending that provides temporary satisfaction without long-term value. They understand that wealth is built through intentional allocation rather than consumption. They plan finances around long-term objectives. They resist lifestyle inflation until systems are in place. They understand that money without vision often disappears. They prioritize reinvestment over immediate reward. They use money to buy leverage and opportunity. They align financial decisions with strategic direction. They understand that disciplined use of money reflects disciplined thinking. They see money as fuel for vision rather than proof of success. They remain patient with financial growth. Ultimately, vision as the foundation of wealth is what transforms ambition into execution and effort into results. Because when direction is clear, Decisions become simpler and progress becomes measurable. Vision provides purpose during uncertainty. It creates consistency during distraction. It allows individuals to filter opportunities intelligently. It supports resilience during setbacks. It aligns time, money, and energy toward a common outcome. It turns learning into strategy. It transforms mistakes into lessons. It strengthens confidence without arrogance. It encourages long-term thinking. In a short-term world, it turns potential into progress. It makes wealth creation intentional rather than accidental. And once vision is clearly defined and committed to, the journey from idea to impact becomes not only possible, but achievable. Dubai attracts global opportunity because it was built with intentional vision rather than accidental growth. And this deliberate approach has created an environment where ideas, capital, and ambition converge efficiently. The city's leadership prioritized long-term economic diversification early on. Infrastructure was designed to support trade, travel, and business at scale. Policies were shaped to attract international investors and entrepreneurs. Systems were created to reduce friction in business setup and operations. Stability was maintained to encourage confidence and planning. Speed became a defining characteristic of execution. Innovation was embedded into governance and development. Global connectivity was treated as a strategic advantage. Growth was positioned as a continuous process. Opportunity was designed into the system rather than left to chance. Vision translated into structure that supports ambition. One of the strongest reasons Dubai attracts opportunity is its strategic geographic position. Because it connects major global markets across Asia, Europe, and Africa within a single time zone. This positioning allows businesses to operate across continents efficiently. Trade routes flow naturally through the region. Logistics infrastructure supports rapid movement of goods and services. Entrepreneurs can access multiple markets from one base. Time zone alignment allows extended global business hours. International travel is streamlined through major hubs. Supply chains benefit from reduced friction. Global clients can be served efficiently. Market reach expands without constant relocation. This geographic advantage reduces operational complexity. It increases scalability for global-focused businesses. It transforms Dubai into a natural crossroads for opportunity. Dubai's business-friendly environment further amplifies opportunity. Because regulations are designed to encourage participation rather than create unnecessary barriers. Business setup processes are streamlined and transparent. Free zones offer specialized support for different industries. Foreign ownership structures are flexible and evolving. Tax efficiency increases retained capital. Regulatory clarity reduces uncertainty. Licensing systems support rapid entry. Compliance is structured rather than ambiguous. Entrepreneurs can focus on execution rather than bureaucracy. Legal frameworks support investor confidence. Innovation is encouraged through incentives. Government initiatives actively support startups and growth. Policy evolution responds to global economic trends. Cultural diversity plays a major role in Dubai's attraction, because the city brings together talent, ideas, and perspectives from across the world in one dynamic environment. Entrepreneurs gain exposure to global consumer behavior. Businesses can test products across cultures. Collaboration opportunities expand naturally. Networks form across industries and nationalities. Innovation increases through cross-cultural exchange. Market insights are gained through diversity. Talent recruitment benefits from global reach. Businesses learn adaptability through multicultural engagement. Consumer demand becomes varied and sophisticated. Cultural awareness strengthens business strategy. Learning accelerates through shared experience. Diversity becomes a competitive advantage rather than a challenge. Opportunity in Dubai is also driven by a growth-oriented mindset that encourages ambition, experimentation, and progress rather than stagnation. The city celebrates innovation and success openly. Large-scale projects inspire bold thinking. Risk-taking is supported by structured systems. Entrepreneurs are encouraged to think big. Failure is increasingly seen as part of learning. Progress is measured through development rather than preservation. Markets remain dynamic and evolving. Change is embraced rather than resisted. Investment flows follow momentum. Ideas are evaluated based on potential. Growth is expected rather than questioned. Ambition aligns with environment. Ultimately, Dubai attracts global opportunity because it combines vision, structure, and execution in a way that allows individuals and businesses to grow faster with fewer constraints, provided they are prepared and intentional. Opportunity becomes visible to those who understand the ecosystem. Success favors those who align with long-term vision. The environment rewards clarity and action. Growth becomes scalable rather than limited. Learning accelerates through exposure. Networks multiply opportunity. Capital flows toward value creation. Ideas transform into execution quickly. Risk is managed through structure. Progress becomes measurable. Potential becomes reality. And for those who position themselves wisely, Dubai becomes not just a location, but a powerful platform for global opportunity. Investment pathways that build real wealth are rooted in understanding value, time, and risk rather than chasing trends or reacting emotionally to market movement. Successful investors in Dubai understand that investing is not about constant action, but about selecting the right vehicles and allowing them to grow with discipline. They focus on long-term demand rather than short-term excitement. They study market fundamentals before committing capital. They understand that wealth is built through patience and consistency. They avoid speculation disguised as strategy. They evaluate investments based on risk-adjusted returns. They respect the role of diversification. They understand that timing is less important than time in the market. They avoid emotional decision-making during volatility. They treat investing as a structured system rather than a gamble. They commit to continuous learning. They understand that clarity reduces costly mistakes. Real estate remains one of the most prominent investment pathways in Dubai, not because of hype, but because of structured demand, population growth, and long-term development planning. Investors study location rather than appearance. They evaluate rental yield alongside appreciation. They understand the importance of cash flow stability. They analyze supply and demand cycles. They consider regulatory frameworks carefully. They avoid over-leveraging. They focus on long-term ownership rather than quick flips. They understand that real estate rewards patience. They reinvest rental income strategically. They assess risk through data rather than emotion. They understand the difference between speculation and investment. They align property investment with broader financial goals. Business equity is another powerful pathway to wealth because ownership in growing enterprises allows capital to scale beyond individual effort. Smart investors look beyond surface-level profits. They evaluate business models and sustainability. They assess management capability and execution quality. They understand revenue streams and cost structures. They consider scalability potential. They evaluate market demand and competitive advantage. They avoid investing without transparency. They understand that equity requires patience and involvement. They diversify across sectors when possible. They accept that not all ventures succeed. They manage risk through position sizing. They focus on long-term value creation. Financial markets also provide investment pathways for those who approach them with education and structure. Because markets reward discipline rather than prediction. Investors understand the behavior of different asset classes. They diversify across equities, funds, and instruments. They align market exposure with time horizon. They manage volatility through allocation rather than reaction. They avoid frequent trading without strategy. They reinvest returns to compound growth. They understand inflation's impact on purchasing power. They focus on portfolio balance rather than individual assets. They avoid emotional responses to news cycles. They review portfolios periodically. They understand that markets move in cycles. They remain patient through downturns. Risk management is central to every successful investment pathway because protecting capital ensures the ability to participate in future opportunities. Investors understand that loss avoidance is as important as profit pursuit. They diversify to reduce exposure. They avoid concentrating all capital in one idea. They maintain liquidity for flexibility. They understand leverage and use it cautiously. They assess downside before upside. They plan exit strategies in advance. They accept small losses to avoid large ones. They avoid investing money needed for daily life. They build financial buffers. They review risk regularly. They understand that preservation enables growth. Ultimately, investment pathways that build wealth are defined by alignment between strategy, time horizon, and personal goals. Because wealth is not created through one decision but through consistent, well-structured action. It begins with understanding where value exists. It grows through patience and discipline. It strengthens through diversification and learning. It survives through risk management. It compounds through reinvestment. It adapts through market cycles. It rewards clarity over complexity. It favors long-term commitment over short-term excitement. It transforms capital into opportunity. It creates stability before expansion. It allows wealth to grow quietly over time. And when approached intentionally, these pathways make financial growth achievable and sustainable. Business opportunities that truly scale are built on solving real problems in a repeatable and efficient way. And successful entrepreneurs in Dubai understand that scalability begins with structure rather than size. They focus on business models that can grow without proportionally increasing costs. They prioritize systems over constant manual effort. They understand that scalability requires clarity in operations. They design processes that can be replicated. They avoid businesses that depend entirely on their presence. They think about growth from the very beginning. They understand that demand must exist before expansion. They validate ideas before investing heavily. They focus on value creation rather than hype. They align business models with long-term demand. They understand that scalability is intentional, not accidental. Dubai provides an environment where scalable businesses can thrive because infrastructure, technology, and connectivity support rapid expansion across markets. Entrepreneurs leverage digital platforms to reach global customers. They use logistics networks to scale physical products efficiently. They benefit from advanced payment systems. They access global talent remotely and locally. They build businesses that serve international markets from one base. They take advantage of free zones tailored to industries. They leverage strong internet and communication systems. They benefit from government-backed innovation initiatives. They access regional markets with ease. They expand without relocating operations. They scale faster due to ecosystem support. They understand that environment accelerates execution. Scalable business opportunities often exist in sectors that combine technology, service, and global demand, and entrepreneurs who succeed focus on adaptability rather than rigid planning. They build digital-first models where possible. They use automation to reduce operational friction. They focus on subscription or recurring revenue. They design platforms rather than one-time transactions. They use data to guide decisions. They iterate products based on customer feedback. They understand scalability improves margins over time. They avoid over-customization that limits growth. They prioritize user experience consistently. They adapt offerings as markets evolve. They focus on long-term customer value. They understand that flexibility supports scale. Systems and processes are the backbone of scalable businesses, because growth without structure leads to inefficiency and collapse. Entrepreneurs document workflows early. They standardize operations. They create clear roles and responsibilities. They invest in training and onboarding. They track key performance indicators. They use technology to manage operations. They delegate effectively rather than controlling everything. They build leadership capacity. They prepare systems before expansion. They test scalability under pressure. They refine processes continuously. They understand that systems protect growth. Scalable entrepreneurs also manage risk carefully. Because rapid growth without control can create financial and operational strain, they scale revenue before scaling expenses. They maintain cash flow visibility. They avoid overhiring prematurely. They manage debt cautiously. They test new markets before full entry. They plan for operational stress. They maintain financial buffers. They monitor customer acquisition costs. They balance growth with sustainability. They avoid chasing growth for appearance. They understand that controlled growth lasts longer. They align expansion with capacity. Ultimately, business opportunities at scale are those that combine value creation, structure, and adaptability. Because when these elements align, growth becomes sustainable rather than fragile. Scalability begins with solving the right problem. It develops through systems and automation. It strengthens through disciplined execution. It survives through risk management. It expands through strategic partnerships. It rewards long-term thinking. It allows businesses to grow beyond individual limits. It transforms effort into leverage. It creates freedom through structure. It turns businesses into assets rather than jobs. It supports consistent expansion. And when approached intentionally, scalable opportunities become powerful engines for long-term wealth creation. Turning opportunity into structured growth begins with understanding that growth must be designed rather than hoped for. And successful individuals in Dubai recognize that structure is what transforms potential into measurable progress. They avoid acting on opportunity impulsively. They assess capacity before expansion. They create clear short-term and long-term objectives. They align growth plans with available resources. They understand that growth without planning creates instability. They prioritize sustainability over speed. They build foundations before scaling. They establish processes that support expansion. They track progress against defined benchmarks. They understand that clarity enables control. They focus on consistency rather than bursts of activity. They recognize that structure supports long-term success. Financial structure is a critical component of growth because unmanaged cash flow can destroy even profitable opportunities. Successful individuals separate personal and business finances. They track income and expenses consistently. They plan budgets aligned with growth phases. They maintain reserves for uncertainty. They understand the timing of cash inflows and outflows. They manage expenses intentionally during expansion. They avoid over-leveraging. They reinvest profits strategically. They forecast financial needs in advance. They monitor profitability alongside growth. They understand that cash flow sustains operations. They treat financial discipline as non-negotiable. Operational structure allows opportunity to scale without chaos because systems replace guesswork and reduce dependency on constant supervision. Entrepreneurs document processes early. They define roles and responsibilities clearly. They standardize workflows to ensure consistency. They invest in tools that improve efficiency. They train teams to operate independently. They measure performance objectively. They address inefficiencies proactively. They refine systems based on feedback. They plan capacity before demand spikes. They avoid bottlenecks through preparation. They understand that operations support vision. They recognize that structure creates reliability. Growth also requires strategic decision-making, because not every opportunity should be pursued and not every expansion leads to progress. Successful individuals evaluate opportunities through data rather than emotion. They analyze market demand before scaling. They test ideas in controlled environments. They prioritize high-impact initiatives. They understand opportunity cost. They say no to distractions that dilute focus. They allocate resources intentionally. They sequence growth logically. They avoid simultaneous expansion without capacity. They understand that focus accelerates progress. They align decisions with long-term vision. They treat strategy as an ongoing process. People and leadership play a major role in structured growth, because no system can scale effectively without the right individuals supporting it. Leaders invest in talent development. They delegate authority responsibly. They build trust through clarity and accountability. They communicate vision consistently. They create cultures that support execution. They align incentives with performance. They address challenges directly. They encourage ownership rather than dependency. They plan leadership development early. They avoid micromanagement. They understand that people execute structure. They recognize leadership as a growth multiplier. Ultimately, turning opportunity into structured growth is about discipline, alignment, and consistency. Because growth that is intentional lasts longer than growth driven by impulse. It begins with clear planning. It develops through financial and operational structure. It strengthens through focused decision-making. It scales through capable leadership. It survives through adaptability. It rewards patience and clarity. It transforms opportunity into measurable results. It reduces chaos and uncertainty. It creates sustainable momentum. It supports long-term objectives. It allows growth without loss of control. And when structure supports opportunity, success becomes repeatable rather than accidental. The journey from vision to millions is rarely defined by a single breakthrough moment, but by a series of aligned decisions made consistently over time with discipline and clarity. Successful individuals understand that wealth is accumulated gradually rather than suddenly. They remain committed to long-term goals even when progress feels slow. They prioritize sustainable systems over temporary wins. They understand that repetition builds mastery. They allow learning to guide refinement. They focus on building foundations before chasing expansion. They understand that momentum is created through consistency. They remain patient during periods of uncertainty. They accept delayed gratification as a strategic advantage. They understand that persistence often separates success from stagnation. They measure progress over years rather than weeks. They treat wealth building as a process rather than an event. Long-term thinkers approach challenges differently. Because setbacks are viewed as part of the journey rather than signals to stop. They analyze obstacles objectively. They extract lessons from failure. They adjust strategies without abandoning vision. They maintain emotional control during downturns. They understand that resilience compounds over time. They avoid reacting impulsively to short-term noise. They remain focused on controllable actions. They build confidence through experience. They develop patience under pressure. They understand that adversity strengthens systems. They maintain perspective during slow growth. They use setbacks to strengthen decision-making. They recognize that endurance is a competitive advantage. Capital growth in the long-term game depends on disciplined allocation and reinvestment, because money grows when it is directed intentionally and protected consistently. Successful individuals reinvest profits rather than consume them prematurely. They align capital allocation with long-term objectives. They diversify to manage risk. They protect downside before seeking upside. They understand compounding requires time. They avoid unnecessary withdrawals. They plan liquidity without sacrificing growth. They remain disciplined during market cycles. They avoid emotional decisions driven by fear or greed. They balance opportunity with caution. They understand that capital discipline creates flexibility. They treat money as a tool for growth rather than validation. Skill development plays a critical role in long-term success, because markets evolve and those who stop learning eventually fall behind. Individuals committed to long-term growth invest in education continuously. They refine decision-making through experience. They develop leadership and communication skills. They understand the importance of adaptability. They stay informed about industry changes. They seek mentorship and feedback. They refine systems as complexity increases. They understand that personal growth supports business growth. They invest in capabilities that compound. They remain curious rather than complacent. They recognize learning as a lifelong advantage. They align skill development with future goals. Reputation and relationships also compound over time, because trust becomes a powerful asset in long-term wealth creation. Successful individuals build credibility through consistency. They honor commitments. They communicate transparently. They prioritize long-term relationships over short-term gain. They understand that reputation attracts opportunity. They invest in networks intentionally. They collaborate rather than compete unnecessarily. They create value for others. They maintain integrity under pressure. They understand that trust accelerates growth. They recognize that relationships outlast transactions. They protect their reputation carefully. They see credibility as not negotiable. Ultimately, the long-term game from vision to millions is about alignment, patience, and consistency, because sustainable wealth is the outcome of intentional action maintained over time. It begins with clear vision. It grows through disciplined execution. It strengthens through learning and adaptation. It survives through resilience. It compounds through reinvestment. It accelerates through relationships. It rewards those who think beyond immediacy. It transforms effort into leverage. It creates freedom through structure. It turns ambition into impact. It aligns success with purpose. And when the long-term game is embraced fully, reaching millions becomes not just possible, but achievable with clarity and control. Before we conclude, take a moment to reflect on everything you have absorbed throughout this audiobook, because the true value of what you have learned lies not in information alone, but in how intentionally you choose to apply it moving forward. From vision to millions, this audiobook has taken you through the mindset, environment, strategies, and structures that turn ideas into lasting wealth, showing you that success in Dubai and beyond is not the result of chance, but the outcome of clarity, discipline, and long-term thinking. You have learned that vision sets direction before money ever appears, that Dubai attracts opportunity through intentional design and global connectivity, that wealth is built through structured investment pathways rather than shortcuts, that scalable businesses rely on systems and execution, that opportunity only becomes growth when supported by structure, and that the long-term game rewards patience, learning, and consistency. Each chapter has reinforced the truth that sustainable wealth is created step by step, decision by decision, over time. You now understand that ambition without structure creates frustration, while vision supported by action creates progress. You have seen how mindset, environment, and execution work together. You have gained clarity on how opportunities are identified and developed. You have learned why discipline protects growth. And most importantly, you now hold a framework you can adapt to your own journey. As you move forward, remember that knowledge becomes powerful only when it is acted upon with intention and consistency. So start where you are, use what you have, and build gradually with patience and focus. Revisit your vision and clarify your goals. Design simple systems for managing money and growth. Continue learning about investing and business with discernment. Seek opportunities that align with your long-term direction rather than temporary excitement. Stay disciplined during uncertainty. Adjust strategies as you gain experience, but remain committed to your purpose. Progress may feel slow at times, but consistency compounds quietly. Every thoughtful decision strengthens your future position. Every lesson applied increases your confidence. Every step taken with clarity moves you closer to your goals. If this audiobook has inspired you, informed you, or shifted the way you think about success, we invite you to support Framer Audiobooks by subscribing to the channel so you never miss future content focused on wealth, mindset, business, and opportunity. Like this audiobook to help it reach more listeners who are searching for direction and clarity. Share it with someone who could benefit from a new perspective on building wealth and long-term success. Leave a comment and tell us what insight resonated with you the most or where you are listening from. Your engagement helps this channel grow and allows us to continue creating meaningful audiobooks designed to educate, empower, and inspire. Thank you for listening to Framer Audiobooks, where vision meets execution and knowledge becomes opportunity. And remember that your journey from vision to millions is not defined by where you start, but by the decisions you consistently commit to from this moment onward.